Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to another one of our Target Jobs Thursday afternoon webinars. My name is Matt. I'm going to be serving as your host for this session. And today we're talking about how to work in technology if you don't have a tech-related degree. And we have a really, really interesting panel that covers everything from, I think, healthcare to intelligence to all sorts of different things. Is going to be quite an interesting one. I just have to go over the ground rules for the session to start with. Please feel free to ask a question at any time. You'll notice you have a little question feed button somewhere on the right-hand side, which will give you a question pane. If you see a question that you want answered, please upvote it, because what we'll do when we get to the end, we will try to leave time for questions at the end. We will start with the most popular one. So please don't retype a question in the box, click the upvote button, and we'll go down that when we get to the end. So ask a question at any time, they'll be answered at the end, and please make sure you upvote the ones that you most want answered. So I'm going to I'm going to introduce our panel. I'm going to ask them to tell us a little bit about where they work and how technology plays a role. And I think if they could introduce themselves and their role as well at the company. I'm going to do this, which is just, I'm going to go clockwise on my screen. I realize it will be different for everybody depending on when you logged in, but I'm going to start with Harry Evans, who is from BAE Systems Applied Intelligence. Harry, perhaps if you could tell us a little bit about what BAE Systems does and how technology plays a part.
Cool. Thanks, Matt. This is my own fault for logging in early, isn't it? I'm first. BAE Systems is quite a large company overall. There are nearly 90,000 people who work here. We do all sorts, to be perfectly honest. It's mostly in the defence sector. So, we're talking about making solutions, building literally some solutions, such as being involved in sort of submarine projects for the government, the sort of fighter jets, things like that. So there's a lot of that. All of them have got a degree of technology in there, sort of, be it sort of actual physical, working out systems, building, to completely cyber programming and things like that. I'm actually from the part of the company that's called Applied Intelligence, and we focus on cybersecurity. So it's all about helping, again, sort of governments, enterprise businesses protect their data, protect their systems, stop cyber attacks, try and help when people have been attacked, and putting in place the systems or putting our solutions in. We've got several sort of different solutions where we can put them either like literally a box, or it might just be software or whatever. And also, I mean, within that, there's this kind of, like I say, government, there's defence, and also we look after the space bit. So one of the big things we're doing at the moment is working out, again, sort of hardwiring into ground-based systems, the kind of the security so people can't, intercept transmissions. We're also doing that on satellites now, and we're launching a satellite, I think, later this year, perhaps, that's got on it our hardware. So we'll have end-to-end encryption and things. So it's all quite cool. My job, I work on the recruitment team. I actually look after all the kind of recruitment brand and marketing, and trying to, how we find sort of the great people to work for us. So that's how I got hooked onto this.
Thanks, Harry. That's a really interesting one to start off with, satellites and submarines and everything in between. Joseph, perhaps if you could tell us a little bit, I'll leave you to introduce yourself with Nhs Digital and what you do there.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Joe. I am a graduate trainee here at Nhs Digital. I'm currently part of the academy at Nhs Digital, a 2-year program. So a bit about Nhs Digital. So we are the sort of arm's length body that are sort of responsible for being the national information and technology partner to the health and social care system. So basically our core mission is basically to harness the power of information technology to sort of improve health and care for everyone that uses the NHS. So stuff we do is sort of like we run the core IT infrastructure and services. That's something I'm currently working on my first placement, is working on Spine, which is like the big messaging system for the NHS. We design and build new digital systems and services. So one of my fellow members of my cohort, they're working on 999 and 111 triage systems. We've got a big data services and data sciences department. They've done stuff like giving all the data for COVID and the COVID dashboards you see, that's come through the NHS and been reliant on the information we hold. We also make sure all the different NHS partners and all the different organisations that make up the sort of the super organisation that is the NHS have proper IT and data standards. And also we have our cybersecurity centre who help protect your data and help protect the different systems in the NHS. So I think like 21 million malicious threats are blocked by them each month. That's NHS Digital.
Thank you, Joe. And the scale of that obviously is it's absolutely huge when you think about it. It's really, really interesting. And also we also have with us Daniel Mayer from Accenture. Daniel, if you perhaps tell us a little bit about how tech plays a role and what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So, I'm Daniel or Dan. I'm a recruitment specialist at Accenture. Accenture is a global technology consulting company, roughly about 600,000 people worldwide that work at Accenture. We are a consulting company, but it's very much focused on technology consulting. So if a client or a prospective client comes to us and asks for a solution, the solutions we provide most of the time are tech focused, and it could be anything from kind of using cloud-based solutions or cybersecurity or things like digital twin technology, a lot of stuff around kind of innovation as well. A lot of technology solutions that we provide to a wide variety of clients across all kinds of industries across the world.
Thank you. Well, okay, so we've got three very, very different concepts to do with tech here. It should be quite interesting. I just will mention that we may also have Andrew Foster joining us from Cummins, but I'm not sure. We're having some sort of technical stuff going on in the background, so he might be joining us later, and I'll come back to that if he does. So I think the first thing we should really establish, because of the subject of this webinar, is how to work in technology if you don't have a tech-related degree. So I think we need to establish, first of all, whether our panel here do require graduates to have a tech-related degree, and if they don't require it, why don't they require it? So Harry, perhaps if we could start with you again, what's the story on tech-related degrees?
Oh, classic. How long has it been? What, 2 years, and still don't know to unmute myself? So we, to be honest, we have loads of programs. We have grad programs, we have apprentice programs, and they don't all need degrees. In tech, what we like to do for applied intelligence, anyway, one of the main things is there are lots of people out there who are kind of bedroom coders, or they might be part of like cyber societies, and they've got a real interest in coding software, all this sort of stuff. But they might be doing a maths degree, might be doing a science degree, or engineering, obviously software engineering. But we get people who do lots of different degrees. So we do have people apply for the software engineer or Lowe's DevOps type degrees. We also have programs for consultants, where you don't need to be really, really techy. You're kind of going to go in, suggest, but we'll teach you, what the solutions are. So so you don't need to be, someone who's going to fix it or anything. You're just going to go into clients and say this is a solution we recommend. And then other routes in there are project management as well, programs, and a finance program. So I mean, they're all in a tech company, but not necessarily sort of direct tech programs. And yeah, there's loads and loads of different ways. And to be honest, I think at the moment, one of the things we're looking at a lot is kind of people who might have done a science, like a physics or a maths. Because I mean, ultimately, if someone's done English, but we put them through the coding tests and they do fantastic, we're going to chat to them and say, where we could get them in, because we're going to help people develop their skills in that area anyway. And I mean, to be honest, quite a few of the coding languages that we use, they're not necessarily even taught in universities. So we know coming in, we're going to have to train people in things like that. So yeah, it's I think there's probably there's like, it varies between a 2.2 or a 2.1 that you might need, or different amounts of UCAS points. But yeah, I mean, you can, basically quite a few routes.
Thank you. So that's interesting. It sounds like you've almost got a separation there. There's some that you could go into without a kind of even a STEM sort of related degree, but then you're also looking for people who might be on a STEM subject but not necessarily related to coding or computer science, something along those lines. And then obviously you will have people who are coming into the more development orientated roles where they will need to have a specialist. Okay, so the academic achievement is kind of key, but then if you are, lockdown created, I don't know how many bedroom coders, I'm sure. That those people are out there. It's interesting.
Yeah, and we're doing that with sort of experienced hires as well. We are looking at people who, it doesn't matter what their background necessarily is, if they've got the skill, and they've also got work experience in, not directly in that environment maybe, but in a similar kind of environment, then we'll test them on if they can program. So
is just to sort of clarify a little bit, you said some of the coding languages wouldn't be taught at universities. What coding languages would they be? Would you mind?
Well, it's mad because we're still coding in C++, and that's not necessarily on the curriculum because it's so kind of old school. On heart, I'm not sure what is taught, but this is what I've been told. Like, quite a lot of universities don't even do it. They're more on kind of doing Java and things, and we do cover a huge range of different languages that we have. But that C++ is a real key one because, like I said, we're doing things with firmware and we're doing it sort of hard on on boot up and stuff like that. So people need to, if they have got that, then I think that's like gold dust basically. So yeah.
Oh, perfect. If you're out there and you're doing C++, take note.
Yeah, got to learn it now.
Get on Reddit, find the forums that are teaching you C++. So Joe, how about with NHS Digital? We were actually talking about this even before we went live. You were saying you were on the grad scheme, came in with a data science degree. But you said that's changed. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about sort of what you look for now?
Yes. So when I applied around this time last year, they were expecting people to have a sort of STEM-related degree, and seeing sort of in my cohort this year, we've got people with computer science degrees, data science degrees, maths degrees, some with a PhD. So we've already been quite a techie bunch, but even within my cohort, we didn't all have very especially developed coding skills. Like, we dabbled a bit, but we had that sort of, as you mentioned, that sort of almost homegrown ability to code and familiar with tech. And what's happened this year with our recruitment is we have now thrown the doors open to any degree program. And we are looking for people that have got who might come from data science, might come from computer science, might come from STEM, but also those who have been coding in their bedroom, and understanding that people are going to come in different levels, and even within a STEM cohort. We were all put on a boot camp for ours was 8 weeks, and it's a fantastic company called North Coders who did our technical boot camp. I believe next year it's going to be 13 weeks. So you go on this boot camp, you get taught the fundamentals, you get taught a lot of coding, you do a lot of hands-on learning. So there's that expectation that you're going to need to learn, and you're going to come in here to learn. And then even when you join the organization, there is very much on my placement emphasis of I've come here to learn from this area of the organization. And within that, there is a great support network around you helping you learn. So I've got a career mentor who's sort of higher up in the organization who can give me career advice. I've got a buddy who's on my team with me. There's someone I can go and ask stupid questions, go like, I don't know how to run this test. Do you know how to do that? Got a great line manager doing traditional line manager things. And then also you got the academy community. You got this group of people who are on the same boat as you. And on the boot camp, we were all in a room together. So we all were really good friends with each other, helps each other out. And we're still helping each other out, giving us each other advice. Yesterday, we had like a show and tell saying, this is what I do on my placement. And that's really good. And yeah, there's expectation you could be off learning. You're going to put half a day aside sometimes to go and self-learn and improve your coding skills, or maybe get involved in some other stuff. So I get involved in recruitment. Some of my colleagues, Maisie and Mia, they got involved yesterday with filming for International Women's Day. So there's expectation you're going to continue learning coming into this, that you're going to learn from this.
Thanks, Joe. That sounds really supportive. I mean, it's you said maybe they'll be from a STEM background or a data science or something along those lines. But it also sounds quite comprehensive, the amount of training. So presumably when you're looking for bedroom coders, it's not, we need a very rare language. We're looking for a sort of demonstrable interest in what you might be doing and what you might be learning when you join the course. Would that be right?
Yes. Yeah. So when we assess candidates, we would there is a technical assessment, but that is sort of tuned to very much and make sure you understand the basics and for us to learn where you are in your coding journey. And then also sort of through the assessment center that we have, there is sort of talk about your awareness of technology and digitization within the NHS. So we look for that in you and sort of understand where you need to develop from that.
Perfect. And just sorry, very last question, just to finish up. Like Harry was saying, if you had an English degree and you came in, would you still be welcome to join the NHS Digital program, or would you be like?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. I in fact know someone who was slightly different. They did an apprenticeship, but they did apprenticeship out of a English degree and are now doing great stuff in the data science department.
Oh, fantastic. That's good. Really, really useful to know. Thank you. So Dan, how about, what are your requirements for graduates who are coming in? Do they need a tech degree? If they don't, what else do they need to show?
Yeah, so for our two main, I suppose our two most technical degree, programs for our graduates are our software engineering graduate program and data analytics. For both of those, we require a STEM degree still at the moment. It doesn't have to be a particularly tech-focused degree like computer science, for example, or data science. Any kind of STEM degree is fine. So that's kind of the requirement for the software engineering and the data analytics graduate programs. We also then have two other main programs, consulting and client delivery, which is essentially a project management program. So for that project management and consulting programs, any degree discipline is accepted. It is working within the technology environment, so there will be obviously an expectation that you would be able to explain some technical terms, or certainly what our software developers are kind of doing to the clients, but it'll just need to be in a kind of basic level, and the basics are kind of taught to you. So in terms of, say, for example, the software engineering program, where it is about really being hands-on involved in designing the technology solutions. If you do not have a very techy degree like computer science, that's not a problem at all. Again, the whole purpose of a graduate program at Accenture, and by the sounds of like elsewhere as well, is to teach you those things. We also have a 3-month bootcamp that we call our School of Technology, where you learn the basics of most of the programming languages that we use, some of the methods that we use to actually deliver our projects to our clients, some of our project management tools, kind of ways that we work, agile, for example. So, yep, but even after that, those 3 months are passed, and you go into your first project, the learning continues. You get some project-specific learning, because you might be on a project where you might be using a programming language you've never come across before in your life, for example, and then we make sure that you get the training on that as well. And certainly the support is in place as well. It sounds like quite a few similarities there with NHS Digital, in terms of having a mentor and a buddy, other people that you can sort of talk to, sort of career counselors as well. So there's lots of support in place should you feel like you kind of get stuck with something. But that's the kind of the sort of gist of it for our graduate programs.
Thank you. And again, that's quite interesting. You make the sort of distinction. Okay, this, STEM subject, so you're going to need to have that head for numbers or for the science or for the logical processes in order to go into some. For others, you will get the training, so you still need to have an interest, but not so much of an academic background from the sound of it.
That's right, yes. But even for our software engineering and data analytics sort of more technical roles, even there in our assessment process, the technical interviews that we do, the technical assessments, are not really that big on testing your coding ability or anything like that. It is really more about demonstrating that passion or interest for technology, that you want to work in an environment that is all about kind of technology, and that willingness to learn about it. That's kind of the thing, is that sort of passion and willingness to learn about it. And if you can demonstrate things like, that you keep a keen interest in what's happening in the tech world, for example, or maybe you've self-taught yourself some coding languages that you haven't actually come across in your degree. Those are the kind of things that is a good indicator of a passion for technology. But yes, hopefully that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's useful for anybody out there who is considering it. It's like, okay, well, how deep do I need to be, either in the academic side or in my personal life? Do I need to be doing these sort of things? It's giving people a sort of good amount of guidance. I'm a little bit conscious of time, because I do want to make sure we have time for questions. But I think I want to run with what you were saying. You need to show a passion for technology, Dan. I'm gonna, if we run with that theme just for a minute, I'll start with you, Harry. I mean, we've talked about coding at home. But what else would you expect to see that shows a passion for technology in someone who is maybe not from a traditional kind of tech-related degree?
Basically, someone who is showing that they've got those outside interests, and some people who are, when they're sort of putting their CV together and things, are highlighting where their life has touched this sort of tech, and like interests such as society, or if they have created something. So I mean, recently we had a grad, for example, come in, and he went through sort of the programs that he had built, the apps that he built and things, and showed, here we go, this is what I've used, this is how I did it, this is what I've used. It was for this case, i.e. something to do with his time at university, not necessarily on a program, but on not on his degree course, I mean. It's just kind of a fun thing to do. So like showing where you've done that. I mean, because we also have sort of programs that are grads coming in and just do that grad bit, but also sort of programs where you can come in and work towards an MSc as well and stuff. So, there's loads where you can like get in that extra training and that extra experience and learning it. You just have to sort of show that aptitude for what you've done.
Thank you. And like when you mentioned someone creating an app, does someone necessarily need to have created something and finished it from scratch? So would you be talking an app, or maybe they're trying to program their own video game or something? Or does it need to be something that's been completed, or does it just need to be something they've been involved in?
Well, as long as they can like show it and be able to point to. I may have done this with my fellow students, or it doesn't necessarily need to be something that they did, but if they can demonstrate what they did within it. So all apps have got different facets, and it's like I did the sort of user interface, or I did the kind of security in the background, or the encryption bit, or whatever. They can show that, and the thing is, they're going to get in the whole cycle when we're bringing people in the recruitment process. There are like kind of tests and things, so we can usually, if someone does very, very well, that means that we know that they've got that aptitude. But similar to everyone else, it's all training. People come in and learn more, and that's the whole point. I think we've all got very similar schemes. Basically, the whole kind of coming in, you're learning on the job, but also you approachable, and you've got a buddy, and like Joseph, someone from the previous year to kind of be there to say, I had that same thing. So yeah, it's hopefully quite a good environment.
No, it certainly sounds it, and yeah, obviously sounds like it could be potentially quite competitive. You've got a lot of people who are you're looking for the best, as you say. You're testing and testing and testing. So it really does. It seems like you need to put the work in to make it. Joe, how about with the NHS? What would you expect to see that showed a passion for tech, or would it be a passion even for certain aspects of data science, perhaps, rather than the more traditional coding route? What would you be looking for?
I think both of those, or even some other areas. So, like if you're able to sort of show, maybe like look into like what Nhs Digital is currently doing, and what current projects are happening. So when I was researching for my application to Nhs Digital, I'll sort of go into the website, and there's actually a really good repository of projects we've done, and things like finding stuff like interactive whiteboards. I've been doing stuff up there, just understanding how tech can be applied to healthcare. Be quite useful, and also as Harry and Daniel mentioned, sort of having that having some coding, a little bit of coding experience, so doing some tutorials, doing some courses, and if you're able to go and apply those tutorials, and just in even small projects, that's what I did before I went on my data science degree. That's sort of, I was still teaching myself coding before then, and that's sort of what went, all right, it was in lockdown, I was teaching myself this stuff, and I went like, all right, I should really enjoy this, I'm going to do a data science degree, a conversion masters for that. And yeah, it was like, I just found some like problems online, there's loads of problems, and just moving forward, tutorial, just using what I learned, using Google, just putting something together. So like I did a noughts and crosses game. So I just did that and solved for it. So even small stuff, you don't have to come in and like go, oh yeah, I can do a full-fledged website, I can do a full stack thing. If you want to do that, great. If you've got ideas to do something to that, go for it. There's loads of resources to chuck things together. So having small bit of like technical experience, that home coding experience, doing little projects, but also just read up, do the research, go look at the news in the sort of the technology tab and stuff like that, and just have a read around. That can really help you build that knowledge of coding really help you go into applications and go like, hey, I've got this passion, I've got this interest, this is the knowledge I know.
Thank you. That's and you've mentioned a couple of things that we're forever saying on Target Jobs, which is about research the employer that you're looking to apply to, just know what they do inside out. I mean, these are kind of like the very, very basic steps before you want to go into any career. But it was interesting. You also mentioned kind of applying the commercial awareness of it. Like, how is this going to sort of function as part of this entity? Like knowing how that market works and knowing how the systems around that work as well, which I think might actually come quite. Dan, I mean, you mentioned that you have a consulting scheme for tech as well. Does that sort of thing come in when you're looking for a passion for tech? You're also looking for the commercial knowledge to go with it?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, that is something that we can kind of teach you as well. And certainly for consulting, for example, our training programs are obviously a bit different than they would be for our technology programs. So things like commercial awareness is form part of the training on that side again of things. Well, having said that, there is quite a bit of overlap sometimes with training programs that we provide around commercial awareness, as well as kind of more tech focused training programs. But absolutely, if you can demonstrate that commercial awareness, it just reflects even better in your application or in your interview or your assessment center. As has been mentioned already, there's so much information on companies' websites, for example, and on kind of YouTube channels even, and news feeds and things like that. So if there's a specific company, for example, that you are interested in, say, for example, you want a role in data analytics, there's so much information on our website, for example, about previous projects. And while you actually read through that information, videos, the blogs, that leads to other links, other articles, other resources, and that in itself really kind of improves your kind of awareness. So I do think that the research should go beyond just researching the company. It should go a little bit more granular detail in terms of what the company that you're interested in applying to are actually doing, and how that link between the technology solution they provide and the kind of commercial awareness and the application of that technology is a really good thing to do.
Thanks, Dan. I like that sort of explanations. Like, you almost go down a Wikipedia rabbit hole. When you get those links, and you're like, right, I'm going to follow this, and then you end up on something about something in jungles that you'll end up, pictures of animals and things. But that you always, you get that broader sphere of all the things that are involved that you can possibly suck in that knowledge that adds to an application. And I think it's interesting talking to all of you today, where we've talked about, coding, and then there's obviously the sort of desire to have someone from a STEM degree. Harry was saying, that maybe you need to have a certain degree grade. It's academics and basic skills. You may be competing against people who have those at the same level that you have them. So when you are coming to make an application, it may be that to put yourself over a little bit more, you need to have that commercial understanding. You need to have researched the employer. You really need to have gone the extra mile to stand out. So just we have I want to give it 5 minutes, and then I really want to make time for questions from the attendees. But I think a key thing that has come up sort of anecdotally in conversations when we talk with Target Jobs, engineering, tech, and IT, is always about the softer skills that are looked for. And I think it's quite a nice segue to go from, as we were talking, getting that commercial awareness down as well. But it's to look at what sort of softer skills you look for that will complement the basics in coding or the degrees or whatever it is that you might have. So Harry, again, if I can start with you, what would you look for in terms of softer skills in a candidate that's coming to you?
I think we just lost someone.
We have, but I'm sure he'll be back.
It's just someone's screen completely flipped. I think everyone always says kind of the same things. It's really difficult, and it's really difficult to convey on just a CV. Things like being able to communicate effectively, and it sounds quite mad, but it's more about sort of having the confidence, because you're going to come in, and whilst you will have people to buddy with you, there is an element of you going from being a student to working. And I remember when I graduated, I just about remember in that hazy past, it was a shift. It was a shift in the mind, going from a student with however many hours worth of lectures a week to, kind of, you need to be here at 9 9. That's inhuman. So, and to be perfectly honest, I still feel that. But it's been kind of that road into changing it. And people who have come, and what we find is that if you've come and done an apprenticeship or done an apprenticeship anywhere, not an apprenticeship, sorry, that's the wrong word, an internship or an industrial placement for a year, then obviously there's lower expectation on those because your mid-degree. But you've also had the chance to learn more about working in like a office / whatever environment. But ultimately, it's just people who are enthusiastic and people who are looking to, they want to solve problems. They're keen to learn. And, it's basically, good at, want to be part of a team. And with us, it's working on programs that are, it's not just defending companies, it's similar. Like with NHS, for example, the whole point there is it's people's data, like across the whole country, and with BAE Systems, it's the same. It's protecting the government's data, protecting our own personal data, and the infrastructure around our country and other countries. So it's kind of you're going to be doing sort of big things that you can kind of feel. So yeah. Have I wasted the 5 minutes? Sorry, guys.
No, we're all good. We're all good, and I think there's quite a lot in there to take away from as well. Like as you're saying, that sense of responsibility, your time management, having to start at 9, and absolutely agree. Friend, if my boss is listening, 4-day working week, just saying, might be an option one day. Things like that. Getting used to that time management, that communicating with other teams, communicating with external clients, having that sense of responsibility when you're managing a lot of data. That's they are all kind of softer skills you need to adopt on top of your practical skills. Joe, would you add anything to the list of kind of softer skills that you'd be looking for in a candidate?
Yeah, it was also sort of, if you can show abilities, also research and that ability to go and seek out information, that's, and also the patience for research as well sometimes. I think that's really important because you are showing that you're able to ask good questions of Google or of people. You are the code base I'm currently working on is massive, so being able to go and work through that and almost do the research through the code base is also really a useful skill. And it shows that learning attitude, that desire to go and seek out more information. But also like to highlight sort of the problem solving skills, really useful to have in whatever way that is for the degree you've done. You use problem solving every day, that teamwork aspect, and that learning attitude as well is really great to have.
Thanks. So the problem solving, the research skills, and from the sound of it, because obviously, as you say, some of these projects are massive, obviously the ability to break up to be able to cope with your workload, to break up tasks, to understand you might be doing the same thing for a long time, and how to keep yourself sort of motivated and focused when you have got a lot of stuff to work through. Sounds like it would be quite useful as well. Dan, just on the topic of softer skills to finish us off, are there any you'd like to add? I'm sorry, because we've got quite a lot.
No problem at all. Yes, there's lots being mentioned there. And just on the topic of kind of doing your research and searching for information yourself, that also kind of demonstrates an ability to take your own initiative. That's also what we're looking for, because even though there's lots of support in place at most companies, and there's people you can ask questions to, and most of the time they are very approachable. If you can demonstrate that ability to actually kind of look for a solution yourself, take some initiative, sometimes even with minimal direction, and then come prepared with the right questions to ask when you need to ask someone, that's definitely something that is very useful at a sort of big consultancy company like Accenture. And with that, the ability to actually be able to cope with change, because projects do change, client demands change, this regular sort of change happening even from day to day working. So an ability to sort of stay calm, kind of reorganize your workload, restructure your deadlines, kind of managing your time efficiently, but showing that kind of ability to actually cope with the change, that kind of resilience and adaptability really is another key thing.
And thank you for mentioning that. There's some more sort of really good examples, as you say, like the initiative thinking for yourself, resilience, adaptability to change. We've done a couple of Target Jobs webinars actually on resilience. So if you're watching this session and you're interested in knowing more about resilience, I do recommend going to look them up. There's no commercial reason I say that. It really is just useful. It's very interesting. We had one from one of the major accounting firms talking about resilience in the workplace, and one from Unlocked that send graduates into prisons. Talking about resilience. So they're really, really interesting. If you do have the chance, please do go away and watch them. And if you're looking about how to sort of present soft skills on an application, if you look up the STAR method on Target Jobs, we've got some great advice pieces there as well. And I can see people nodding, which I'm glad that it's getting some agreement. Okay, I'm going to turn to the question feed, and I will say sorry because I'm not going to read out anybody's names on the questions. We do record these panels for YouTube, and I'm just very conscious of GDPR and things like that. We don't want to sort of identify anybody. So the top question that we have, and I'm just going to open this up to our panel, so please feel free to chip in at any time, is what transferable skills make you stand out on your CV when applying for a role in tech with little experience or when you're not from a tech degree? So we've covered some of this already, but would anyone like to add to this?
Silence. I think, as we said, I mean, what's good to see is that you've got some experience of a similar, experience, like as an intern or something like that. So those office-y based kind of skills that you might have, even if it's, I worked for, one of my family members across the summer. Always think about how you can link it though. So just put in, I worked in, I don't know, a sort of a company that sells paper for a summer. You kind of got to go, but this is how I relate it to what we do here. It's because I was working in a team. It's because I was talking to customers. It's as long as you can relate what you did to what you're actually applying for. And like we said, again, those kind of those side projects where you're doing your own coding and things, like showing that is also very, very good to show.
If I can just add to that as well, if you do not have a technology related background, there's no harm in actually demonstrating or just talking about your interest in technology in your application or your online profile that you create nowadays. If you submit an online application, that does stand out to recruiters. It shows this person doesn't have a IT-related degree or background, but they kind of mention their interest in technologies. They mention specific technologies that they are interested in, or specific areas of technologies. They mention how they kind of stay up to date with the latest technologies, and it's just all about kind of demonstrating that strong interest in technology. If you do not have that tech background.
Thank you. And I think another thing that comes up from that is don't, like as Harry said as well, don't expect recruiters to be clairvoyant. They're not going to know whether you've done something that is related to the role unless you tell people. And you may just put a job title and think, well, of course, everybody will know what that means. They might not. So do explain it. If it relates to the job that you're going for, just make it very, very clear. I think we've answered the next question that was at the top of the list, which is the misconception can be between not needing a tech degree and not needing to have any tech skills. I understand that the minimum, if from a non-tech degree, is to know some coding and have a strong active interest in tech. I think we've just covered that, and we've been talking about that for most of the session. So I'm acknowledging that that's there, but we're going to move on. So the next question we have is, what's a good way to find out what level of pre-existing coding knowledge is expected for a post? How can we find out what types or what level of questions we should expect?
Ask. No, I mean, the thing is, I think most of us will have a kind of some sort of contact on our sites, and it will go to, for us anyway, there's an email on there. It goes to our future talent team, and like you should get an answer sort of, well, not like the same day, but pretty quick, and they'll say what you need. Do kind of say what level you have to start. So I'm at this level. What can I apply for? But honestly, I mean, and that's also I can't say because I've got no clue. Hands up. But yeah, I mean, I think most of us are going to be the same. You can just kind of, if there's a particular one, there'll be a way to contact the team, email, or even some sites will have a live chat function as well. Ours doesn't right now, but yeah.
Sorry.
For I'd say from experience, it's I think if you're able to show, you, as I mentioned earlier, you're able to do those small projects. That's a very good level to have. I mean, some especially by Nhs Digital, like if you have that level of knowledge, I think that's really good to have. But yeah, asking is really good to do. Also, seek out different resources online because they might have some advice on sort of what level to do. Although some resources will say will be talking about people from a tech background going to a very, very techy job. And they're saying, oh, make sure you got this big portfolio and big GitHub page and do loads of HackerRank. These are perfectly fine things to do. I don't think they are necessary, especially for the roles we're talking about today. But if you have a passion project and you end up building amazing websites, show that off. That's really good. But yeah, as I said, having those small projects is a great level to have.
Dan, would you have anything to add to that?
Just speaking from my experience at Accenture, it's really again just going back very briefly to about demonstrating the passion for technology rather than actually existing qualifications. Most of our assessments are around more the passion for tech rather than really asking to test you on your existing coding languages, for example. So for a company like us, obviously it might be different for other companies. It's more about thinking about that passion and interest and demonstrating that.
Thank you. So I think there's quite a clear answer there, which is if you are from a non-tech degree background, you need to be demonstrating. You need to focus on yourself and showing off your passion. If perhaps there is going to be, or if you are worried that there is going to be a required level of pre-existing knowledge, reach out and contact the recruiters and look at the websites. I think COVID, for all the terrible things that it's done to the world, it has made people a lot more available on LinkedIn and on emails and on various different virtual platforms. I mean, we're here doing a webinar today. There will be virtual fairs. You can ask people out as well. Please, do get out there. Don't be shy about asking questions. Most people are usually quite nice to talk to. So on to the next question. So this is, compared to someone with a tech degree, are we at a disadvantage when applying for technology-related jobs? How can we stand out to employers despite not having a tech-related degree? So is a non-tech degree candidate going to be kind of at a disadvantage if someone turns up with a solid sort of STEM or computer IT-related degree?
Well, I think, again, all of us have got kind of a recruitment process that we put people through, and the recruiters will look at what degrees they've got. As long as you're demonstrating that you've got the skills, it wouldn't necessarily knock you out. But if you getting down the line, you've got a choice of 50 people with a tech degree, then it gets difficult. But if you might be a fantastic coder and give us loads and loads of projects on your application that shows it. What I would say is, if you're in a situation where you've not got a tech degree, but you've got loads of evidence that you've done things, and like Joe said, like you've got a passion project where you've got an entire website, blog, whatever, you've got a Discord channel with 80,000 people following you. Just make sure we know. don't put it on your CV. And I'm not saying like sort of stalk the recruiter, but like make the recruiter aware. It's like, hey, there, I've applied. I've not got, I've got a degree in theatre, but I'm this good, so you should hire me. Which is, I don't know what else. I mean, what do you guys think? Sorry, taking over from Matt there.
I think actually for what NHS Digital is looking for is very much because we are sort of serving, NHS, which is like a massive organisation, and also we're serving the public as well. It's been very much realised that we need to have that diversity that actually reflects the public and reflects the diversity of the NHS. And that includes a diversity of thoughts and a different approach to how appreciating that different people from different backgrounds will have a different approach to solving problems and have different techniques to that. And actually, I think that's looking for. So I don't think you'll necessarily be at a disadvantage. I think actually we'll be looking for people that don't necessarily already have a computer science degree, already have a data science degree, because you'll be able to approach problems differently, and that'd be great for us and make us work better.
Yeah, just also beyond the diversity of thought, absolutely, which is very important for most companies at the moment. Just also don't kind of underestimate the amount of opportunities that are actually at the moment within technology. So, for example, within Accenture, we've got about 700-800 graduate program opportunities kind of every year, and we are one of few. We compete with so many other companies. If you do not have a tech background or a tech degree, and you demonstrate that interest in technology and all the other things we've talked about today, all the other sort of transferable skills, and you get to the stage of an assessment center. Certainly at Accenture and many other companies as well, when you get to that stage, there's a certain benchmark that you need to meet. And if you meet that benchmark, we will offer you a role. It's not like you are competing against other people for a small number of roles, because there are so many roles available. At our company, for example, if you get to the assessment center and you've demonstrated what we are looking for, we kind of offer you a position. So in that respect, it's not like you are competing that dramatically against someone who has that tech background or tech degree.
Thank you all. And I think it's worth mentioning that it will be different at different employers. So this is where your research comes in. Sometimes you may need to have that, like that kind of hard evidence there that shows. Sometimes it may be, as Joe said, diversity of thought. And that there are a lot of careers like this. I mean, I'm the editor for Target Jobs Law, and about half of all the people go into, you think of law as lawyers and wigs, and it's all very serious and academic. Half of it, half of all lawyers don't come from a law degree. They come from different degrees, and they do a conversion course. It's similar with an awful lot of industries and professions. So I was waiting for this one to come up, because I think we've talked about these kind of online courses all the way through since we've been doing webinars through the pandemic. And the question is, what are your thoughts on coding boot camps? And to clarify, that's external ones that you would do before applying, rather than going into internal ones that you would do in a workplace. Would you recommend that people do them over in addition to, say, online courses such as Udemy? If so, how can we find out which ones are good?
Coding boot camps. So actually, I had a bit of experience researching them, although I ended up not going for them because I realized doing a master's degree would be better for me. The internal one that we were sent on was actually with a third party called North Coders, and they do their own boot camp, which is sort of teaching you to do a full stack into sort of full stack of development technologies. I can't remember any other names, but there are some good ones out there. I'll always look out for ones that maybe have red flags that might tie you into a contract afterwards. But some of those are actually quite good, some of those are quite bad, just always worth looking out for. But in comparison to an online course, it depends how you feel and where you are. I don't think for Nhs Digital you need to do a boot camp. And doing some online courses is great for yourself. There are a load of really good free resources out there, like Free Code Camp is amazing. I use that regularly, and I think they're coming out with like a data science course. There's some courses on like machine learning if you want to look into that. Code Academy is great. I think there's even online resources to evaluate other online resources. You can go down a great rabbit hole there. Always just have a Google of it, look at online forums, and use your judgment, use your researching skills to judge whether actually this is a good resource or a bad source of learning. Yeah, I'll hand over to the other two. Yeah, those are my sort of thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's all of it's going to be useful. Almost, I think all three of us, if you were to join us or any company who are running a graduate program, they're going to teach you how to code or teach you the technology that you're going to use there. But if you've got a starting point, if you can get a head start on knowing it, that's going to put you above other people. What I say is try and, find something. Free resources are better. Looking at stuff, going on like GitHub, Stack Overflow, and being part of communities like that where you're solving problems, that's going to give you loads and loads of experience. But yeah, doing like an intensive course on it, that's fantastic. But I don't think it's necessarily needed. Especially, I mean, when you're coming in, I think our program lasts like 2 years or something. A few of them 18 months to 2 years. So you're going to get lots of training. But yeah, it will give you an advantage, I would say, because you'll say I've already got it. But you just need to be careful because look for recognised ones. You know what I mean? Look for ones that are recognised courses rather than like something that's recognised by Google or Amazon. You know what I mean? That's going to be more valuable. So I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to run actually. Really sorry, Matt. So good luck, everyone. And obviously there'll be 4 passwords. But I'm going to go.
Thank you for joining us, Harry. Would you like to quickly direct anyone to a website to find out more?
Yes. What's on our website? I can't remember what it's called. It is. I've got it open and now I can't find it. BAEsystems.com/cybersecurity, and then from there you'll kind of get all the digital sort of cyber graduate stuff. You click through there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking part, Harry. Really a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, everyone.
Dan, so we're just talking, going back to the original topic, which was on sort of online courses. Are there any that how would you determine what would be useful or not? Sorry.
Right. So I think it's going to depend from person to person. Some companies do have a direct connection with coding bootcamps. We don't at Accenture. Like Harry mentioned earlier, it might be just easier to just do a free online course. We don't actually see ourselves, the coding bootcamps, as a better indication of your ability than if I had gone for a kind of free online course instead.
Perfect. And just to mention that we have covered this before, I think on Target Jobs webinars. So we have got webinars that are specifically about online courses that, well, obviously we were doing these last year or the year before. And there are articles we have online, which also include, if you Google it, Target Jobs online courses, we do even have checklists like how to determine what you're going to get from it, how to make sure whether you get a recognized qualification or not. So please do go and look those up if you're considering doing it, because I think they might just be helpful when you're making decisions. We have actually run out of time. It's been absolutely fascinating today. Thank you so much to Dan and to Joe. I'm just going to say, Dan, is there anywhere that you would send people to find out more information?
Yes, just Accenture.com, and then there's the careers section there as well.
And Joe?
Yeah, NHS Digital, and if you just Google NHS Digital Early Careers or Careers, you should be able to find us there. Yeah.
Perfect. And if you found the session useful, please do let us know, because it is quite disorientating for people who are on the panel. We can't see you, so we can get the questions, but we can't actually see you. So if you have found this useful, please just pop a thank you in the chat box, or send a message so that we can see it after we log off. But thank you again to Dan and Joe for joining us for the webinar today, and to Harry, who's had to take off a little bit early. We will see you in the next webinar. I think that's all from us. Thanks again, and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye then.